and I would like to thank all the speakers. So now, we will have, let's say, a question and answer session, but just to show you that EUNCL is not just, let's say, a website or, let's say, a virtual European project. I would like to ask the core partners of EUNCL just to come in front on stage. So Scott, Neil, Andrew, Matthias, please come here so that you will, yes, Sven Even as well. Yeah. You are a member, if you, just in case, so that the whole team can answer to your questions. And so the only rule is that you have to use a microphone. The same rules for you. And so if you have any question to EUNCL, please feel free. This is the right time to ask all what you want to know about EUNCL. Okay. Any question? Yes, please use the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you. Does it work? Yes. First of all, congratulations to all of you. I think we have seen many European infrastructure projects that do not get really off the ground and operational within such a short time span. So, congratulations. My other question is around timelines. And Simon, you have showed some timelines starting from submitting, review towards the work. Let's say if I was an SME, I would come to you and the quickest turnaround time of me obtaining the package, what would that be?
Oh, yes, it's working. Very good question. I didn't show the exact schedule. Usually the review process should take, let's say, about 75, 90 days, globally speaking. And then we intend to work to start the work really in the flow. So meaning 1 month later in order to organize the sample processing, sample management and so on. And we're intending to have a 2 month for the pre-screening. So if everything is going smoothly, we go for, let's say, 6 to 7 additional months to run the whole process up to in vivo, not including in vivo. We may have had additional times for the in vivo session, like it's run, let's say, globally speaking.
The reason I ask is one of the challenges, of course, is your relationship with your investors. They always want to know when is the data available, when can we make next steps. So this is about 1 year, 1.5 years.
More 1 year than 1.5 years, depending on, let's say, how the process goes and the smoothly it goes.
All right. And I understand correctly that, let's say, the service is for free as the
EU is funding it.
And the US NCL does as well.
Yes.
Point, please. Yes. So EUNCL is easy funded for the first period of 4 years. We will see later on how to continue. But yes, because we are easy funded, I mean the application for European sponsors is free.
Excellent. Thanks.
Drugs Technology Moscow. I'm wondering about the intellectual property rights. As far as I know, in the American nanotechnology lab, there is a condition that the results of testing belong in equal parts equally to the researcher and to the lab itself. Will the European lab follow the same rules?
Well, I can come in. Yeah. So our materials transfer agreement doesn't specify ownership of the data, because the National Cancer Institute decided at some point that it's not helpful to specify who owns the data. But in practice, the data is provided back to the sponsor, and they can use it however they would like to advance their technology. We also retain the information, but we don't disclose it. It doesn't go anywhere outside of the NCL.
Well, yeah, so in the European lab it will be the same. Will it be?
Exactly, meaning the data are...
So I have to confess that although I'm fully convinced that such a lab is very helpful, my company was intimidated by this requirement. And the next question is, what is your expectation? Will this testing using the labs, both in the US and in Europe, will they be necessary for registration of the drug, of the nanodrug? Is it so at the moment, and do you expect it in the future, if not?
Scott, can you answer? Whatever.
As far as necessary and mandatory, definitely not. So the US NCL is not part of the regulatory process. We've had several instances where the FDA would recommend that a specific sponsor come to us for data or characterization, but it's up to the sponsor's decision. If you have adequate characterization methods that can address questions that their FDA are asking, then by all means pursue it as an independent sponsor.
I would like to add one comment to Scott's comment, because the question has been raised. EUNCL, probably like the NCI and CL in the US, are not replacing the private CROs. That means, first, because we are publicly funded, and because, let's say, our objective is, let's say, to facilitate, or at least to debug, if I could say so, some promising nanoparticles before they will envisage to go through to apply for the IMPT. So once, let's say, if your particle has been selected, everything goes successfully into the EUNCL cascade. At the end, you will get your report. But then you will still have to go to your favorite CRO to perform, let's say, GLP conditions, let's say, efficacy study, for instance. So there again, it's not, let's say, EUNCL is not, let's say, like a pre-registration chamber, let's say, to the national agency. It's, let's say, a new service trying to, as we mentioned in one of the slides, trying to increase, let's say, the number of promising candidate nanoparticles going towards the clinical trials and later on to the patients, we hope.
Thank you. For me, it's absolutely clear.
Well, thank you. Any further question? Yes, please, Bart.
Yes. Yeah, wonderful initiative. Thanks for presenting this here in the session. I have to admit we're actually one of the applicants, so we're very much interested in you guys. And we've been alluding to this already in the discussion. To what extent are we free to take the technologies, the assays that you guys develop for us, to other service organizations? Is there any limitation to taking the technology out to other partners?
Oh, sorry. There's no restrictions whatsoever. You can use the assays. In fact, they're intended for that. On our website, we have some 45 different assays that you can take, you can validate, you can give them to a CRO. By all means, please use them.
Yeah, and obviously the same thing applies. We're not developing technology for IP for ourselves. We are delivering a service to the nanomed community.
Garrett.
Yes, thank you, Patrick. Thanks. At this point, as you pointed out, this is a Horizon 2020 project with 4 years of sponsorship with partners decentralized over Europe, one in the UK. So how do you envision this in the future? Would you rather go for like a more centralized in one location, like the NCL in Bethesda, or what would you do?
Well, I will not disclose what my crystal balls told me. Yeah. More seriously, I think we are already thinking about, let's say, the future of EUNCL. I mean, I must confess that after 1 year, the start of EUNCL is very promising. So it makes us very confident trying to build, let's say, a EUNCL phase 2 dossier. And well, there are several possibilities. And but well, trying to refer to the EC jargon, we are what is called a starting community. So it means after the 4 years, what the EC expects from us is, okay, guys, operating a distributed facility with the 7 members, even with third parties, even with the Brits, I'm kidding, is a nightmare. We are losing resources and so on, then stop it. So we want to have one single site like in Fredericks in the US. This is the one option. Another option could be, okay, guys, I think it works quite well. Of course, it requires some adaptation because, and this is what we have tried to explain, to implement. And it is much more demanding on the quality management, ask Matthias, but it's worth keeping this distributed facility. Or another option could be, okay, well, now there are so many applicants that it's worth establishing a private company to perform this, to offer this service, for instance. So, you know, so there are many, many options. We will have to decide in 2 years from now, because we will start the discussion or the negotiation, I would say, with the European Commission or with other organizations like ESPY, for instance, or different type of infrastructures. But I must say that we are quite confident if we can easily demonstrate that we are serving the community and it helps, let's say, the European nanomedicine community. That's all. That is what we are paid for. I mean, the project is paid for. Any further question? I think you have 10 minutes left for questions. Okay.
It's me again. So I'm heavily involved in a similar infrastructure project, but much earlier in the drug discovery chain. It's ultra-high throughput screening for hit discovery and lead discovery, lead development for academics and SMEs in Europe. It's funded through public funds as well, and one of the challenges we face is that these public funds require us to disseminate the data obtained within the project. So how do you operate in that framework? Are you disclosing the full data package generated for a sponsor in the public, or is it the assays that you have created will be disclosed and being able to be worked on by others?
Jan, that's a great question. Early on, when we started the US NCL, we intended to make it transparent for exactly those reasons. It's government funding. Let's make sure that the public has best benefit of it. We did that, and we had minimal applicants because of exactly that reason. They said, if we're going to submit to you our proprietary data, you know, who are you to disseminate it further? And so 2 years into it, we had to change our policy and our governance. So now it's not disclosed at all. In fact, by the terms, there's a non-disclosure. And even though at some point we could use it to publish, as a general rule of thumb and a policy within the NCLs, we don't publish unless we're publishing in collaboration, in close agreement with the sponsor. Because you could imagine the reputation would just go out the window if word were to get out that, hey, if you give your IP and proprietary information to NCL, they're going to go disclose it. You know, we would have no applicants. So we're very rigorous in protecting that proprietary information. We certainly publish things like trends and findings, things that we observe over multiple particle types, lessons learned of things that don't work, but we certainly do not disclose any specific individual proprietary information.
Any further question? Okay, are you very satisfied with the information you got? Anyway, if later on you want to know more, Google EUNCL and or just contact one of us, and then we'll be very happy. So remember, so the first TAD campaign is over, I mean, in terms of application. The next one is in October, November, end of the year.
The review is in October, but since it's a continuous
Yes.
application process, anybody can apply whenever you want.
And you know, if you don't know whether your project is mature enough to apply, then contact us. It's like a case by case, so we can tell you, okay, no, it's mature, please apply, or no, you have to do this and that, and next time you will apply, okay? And with that, thank you very much for your participation, and wish you the very good end of conference. Thank you.
Thank you.